This is the NBC University Theater, bringing you a full-hour dramatization of Henry James' great novel, The Ambassadors, starring Henry Daniell. We bring you a novel by one of the grand masters of American literature, Mr. Henry James. This book, The Ambassadors, is in the best later Jamesian style, infinitely detailed in its consideration of the European environment and its influence on the American abroad. Mr. James himself, a New Yorker by birth, fell under the spell of Europe in his adolescence and went to the continent to establish permanent residence in his late 20s. He did his most mature work in England and France, work that was exquisite in manner and fine to the extreme in its ethical approach. These virtues are well exemplified in today's University Theater broadcast of The Ambassadors, prepared for radio by Leslie Reed. In the starring role of the Ambassadors, you will hear the distinguished actor Henry Daniell. And at intermission, a recorded commentary on the writings of Henry James by the British novelist E.M. Forster. Here, then, The Ambassadors, starring, as Mr. Louis Lambert Strether, Henry Daniell.
It was in England, in the early spring of 1898, that I met Maria Gostre. She affected me as almost insolently young. But an easily carried 35 could still do that. I myself was 55 then, a widower and a pilgrim to Europe, the note of which for me was such a consciousness of personal freedom as I had not known for years. Not for all the years I'd spent in Woolwich, Massachusetts. Miss Gostre was what she herself termed a superior courier maid. She formed for me a continuous revelation of enchantment. I remember particularly one evening in London, we were driving home from the theater in a four-wheeler.
Already you begin to recognize me, Mr. Strether. I'm a general guide to Europe, although I don't do it for money. I just try to help Americans over Europe. It's wonderful they come when they enjoy themselves not at all.
Well, I'm enjoying myself, Miss Gostre, I think.
Dear me. But, Mr. Strether, you told me at the theater you had come out on some serious business for your Mrs. Newsome, your admirable widow of Woolwich.
And admirable Mrs. Newsome is. Her money is spent, her life conceived and carried on with a large beneficence. She's a delicacy and a discretion.
Oh, I don't underrate her.
I owe much to Mrs. Newsome. There's the Woolwich Review, for instance, which she magnificently pays for, and I not at all magnificently edit.
But presumably, Mr. Strether, your serious business in Europe does not concern the Woolwich Review.
No. My mission concerns Mrs. Newsome's only son, Chadwick. We call him Chad, of course. He's 28 and he's been living in Paris for more than 5 years.
I see. I see the problem.
What do you see?
I know Paris, and I can guess you're Mr. Chad without difficulty. Is he not the young man on whose head at Woolwich high hopes are placed, whom a wicked woman has got hold of, and whom his family have sent you out to rescue?
To the life, Miss Gostre. How did you guess?
Do you think it's an uncommon story? But are you quite sure she's very bad for him? She may be charming.
Charming? She's base, venal, out of the streets. Wretched boy. His poor mother. Chad has darkened her admirable life.
Has he only his mother?
Chad has also a sister, older than himself, and married. And they're both remarkably fine women.
And Mrs. Newsome evidently has money.
Oh, plenty. There's also a big, brave, bouncing business, with a big chance now, but not later, for Chad. And to see that he doesn't miss it is, in a word, what I've come out for.
What you've come out for, then, is simply to render him an immense service. Does your young friend in Paris dislike you?
Oh, I hope not. But he practically ignores me, or spares us. He doesn't write. Chad needs to be protected from life.
All the same, given the wonderful city he's in, given Paris, two quite distinct things may have happened to him. One is that he may have got brutalized. The other is that he may have got refined.
Is it a refinement not to answer his mother's letters?
I should say the greatest of all.
Well, as I see him, Chad needs another kind of refining.
What you really want to get him home for is to marry him off.
Well, that's about the size of it. And to the prettiest, brightest girl in Woollet.
Poor Chad. Well, you'll save him, Mr. Strather. But you've not spoken to me of what, by your success, you stand to gain.
Well, Miss Gostry, the fact is, I am engaged to marry Chad's mother, Mrs. Newsom. So my failure would mean the loss of everything.
So I thought. Then you shall succeed. And to that end, I'm yours.
We shall have the pleasure of your company in Paris, then.
As you wish it.
I go across next week in the company of Mr. Waymarsh, also an American, and a good friend.
Is he, too, of Woollet?
He is a lawyer, formerly of Milrose, Connecticut. But you shall meet him in Paris. I'm afraid you'll find him joyless.
But not young Chad, I'm sure.
The prompt Paris morning struck its cheerful notes. In the Luxembourg Gardens, with 4 letters from Mrs. Newsom to read, I sat for an hour. Mrs. Newsom wrote at length and was actuated by the desire that I should be worried by nothing that was not of the essence of my task. I felt strangely free, and yet uneasy, because of the impression that any acceptance by me of Paris, of which Chad was fond, might give my authority away. Was it at all possible to like Paris enough without liking it too much? I went to Chad's rooms, but alas, he was not there. Rather, he was off in Cannes, which made it the worse. I returned to my friend Waymarsh and told him the news, and it served only to set him off on a philosophical turn.
Europe, Strether, Europe is rank with feudalism. Europe is just an elaborate engine for cutting us Americans off from what's going on. I want to read the papers from home.
Do you know, Waymarsh, I don't really miss them.
I want to go home. And so should you, Strether.
And forsake my mission? It would make me a poor ambassador.
Well, I suppose you'll have to wait till he gets back.
His apartment, Waymarsh, I confess, it was filled with exquisite and valuable things. It seemed the reflection of a life more admirable than my expectations. But, of course, he's a disgrace to Woollet.
I suppose he lives there with a woman, Strether.
I don't know.
Has he taken her off to Cannes with him?
I don't know.
Then what the devil do you know, Strether?
Well, I guess I don't know anything. Except that is what little I found out from the young man who is now occupying Chad's rooms.
And who is this young man?
His name is John Little Billum. He's an American studying in Paris. He refers to himself as a little artist man and assures me that everyone calls him Little Billum.
And how old is this Billum?
Well, I guess not 30.
Why doesn't he go home?
Because he likes it over here.
Then he ought to be ashamed of himself. And he does doorkeeper for your precious pair. Doesn't he know what she is?
I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Look here, Strether, quit this. Quit your nosing round. Quit the whole job.
But I intend to go on nosing round, as you call it. So I'm going to déjeuner with Little Billum. And you're coming with us, Waymarsh. I saw Little Billum again, in his own milieu, and in his own odd little dignity. And he held for me a certain fascination. But in spite of my urgings, he provided little more information about Chad, except that Chad was a most admirable young gentleman. When Maria Gostry arrived in Paris, I told her of my encounters with Little Billum, and she saw the situation immediately.
I see it, Strether. Little Billum has every day his little telegram from Cannes. He acts on his instructions from Chad for your entertainment, your amusement. And so has floated you to where you are now.
And where the devil is, Strether, Miss Gostry?
As Mr. Waymar says, where the devil, Strether, are you?
Quite already to a degree in Chad's hands, it would seem. So it's through Little Billum that Chad will bring me to an acceptance of his situation.
It won't be all through Little Billum.
Through whom else, then?
That's what we shall see.
And we did see, the night that we went to the Théâtre Français. Miss Gostry, Waymarsh, and myself. I had invited little Billum, but for some reason he had not replied. He had not shown up at the theater. We were in our box, and just as the curtain went up, the door behind us opened, and a figure entered. It was not little Billum. He turned to me quickly, and I knew.
My dear Strether, I'm delighted to see you.
What? I say... Oh, Chad, why, it's you.
Voila, Mr. Chad.
After the play, Strether, there'll be plenty of time.
After the play, alone with Chad in the night time of Paris in a cafe in the Avenue de l'Opera, I at last came to the point. The opportunity came when he remarked...
Well, it's obvious that you find me changed, Strether. Do you find me improved?
I haven't the least idea.
It's good of you to be so candid.
Now, see here, Chad. I've come to make you break with everything and take you straight home. Of course, I'm a busybody, but after all, I've known you since you were in knickerbockers. You better hear the worst at once. It's a question of an immediate rupture and an immediate return. Your mother's heart is passionately set upon it.
Your engagement to my mother has become, then, what they call here a fait accompli?
Yes. You see, therefore, to what tune I'm in your family.
I understand you want to do something to commemorate an event so, what do they call it? So auspicious. Not unnaturally, bringing me home in triumph as a sort of wedding present to Mother would commemorate it better than anything else. In fact, you want to make a bonfire and you pitch on me. Thank you.
Listen, it's no joke. If you'll give me your word of honor here on the spot to break straight off, you'll make the future the real right thing for all of us.
You and Mother must have imagined things.
Imagined what?
Well, horrors.
Where's the harm if we haven't been wrong? Perhaps, Chad, you'll walk me to my hotel.
Oh, with pleasure. Garçon, l'addition, s'il vous plaît. Well, I've no doubt your imaginings have come near enough, but... Oh, I'm not so bad now.
Voilà, monsieur. Merci, monsieur.
You should have allowed me to pay, Chad.
Next time.
Do you mean to tell me that there isn't any woman with you now?
But pray, what has that to do with it?
Well, it's the whole question.
Oh, my going home? No, not much. Do you think when I want to go, anybody will have any power?
To keep you? Our idea has been that somebody has kept you from wanting to go. You don't answer my question. But if you aren't in anybody's hands, so much the better.
One doesn't quite know what is meant by being in women's hands. One is when one isn't. One isn't when one is. I've never got stuck. Don't you know how I like Paris itself?
That's not enough for your mother. Permit us to have our theory. But if you are so free, you're inexcusable. I'll write in the morning. I'll say I've got you.
How often do you write?
Oh, perpetually.
And at great length?
I hope it's not found too great. Really, Chad.
Oh, I'm sure not. And you hear as often?
As often as I deserve.
Mother writes a lovely letter.
It's more my boy than you do. But our suppositions don't matter if you're actually not entangled.
I never was that. Let me insist. I always had my own way, and I have it at present.
Then what are you here for? What has kept you? If you've been able to leave?
Do you think one's kept only by women? Is that what they think at Woollet? I must say, then, you show a low mind.
We left on that note, and I returned to my hotel and my reflections on Chad. Physically, he had changed greatly since our last meeting. His inscrutable new face was that of a man of the world. In gleams, in glances, the past of Woollet did perhaps peep out, but such lights were faint. Chad had been made over. He had a way that was wonderful, and I saw him in a flash as the young man marked out by women. As usual, I told all to Miss Gostry. I had, of course, written to Mrs. Newsom about my alliance with her, but I deemed it well to explain Miss Gostry also to Chad, who might now take up his disused pen for his mother's benefit. I had wondered if the boy weren't a pagan, and soon I found myself wondering if he weren't by chance a gentleman.
And is that what you've written home? That you find a gentleman?
Oh, dear, yes. And I've said he'll go back. Chad's astounding. I am 55. He's 28. Yet he seems to lead me.
If you don't look out, you'll have them all landing in Paris. Mrs. Newsom's daughter, or what's her name?
Sarah? Mrs. Pocock? Well, Sarah always believed in my essential ineptitude for this mission. Sarah never thought I could find Chad's woman, or any woman.
Still, Chad's not free. I'm sure there is a woman, some woman or other.
Then why does Chad deny her?
Perhaps because she's too good to admit. In Paris, such debts are tacit. Don't make up your mind. You haven't seen him all.
But the more I see, the better he seems.
Take time, then you'll see. Take time, my poor Strether, take time. That's the only way not to make some mistake you'll regret.
Little Billum, I really must know this. And I can't make out the fact from Chad himself. Is there some woman?
It's awfully charming of you, Mr. Strether, not to have asked me that before. The fact is that Chad is not free.
Then there is a woman.
But be assured, Mr. Strether, it's a virtuous attachment.
Bolstered by Billum's assurance, Miss Gostry, I told Chad I should like to write home about the date of our sailing. Then he mentioned two particular friends, two ladies, mother and daughter, about to arrive in Paris, whom he wants me furiously to meet, and to know, and to like. And so I shall oblige him by not bringing our business to a crisis.
Two ladies. An attachment to them both, then, would almost necessarily be innocent.
Mayn't he be still in the stage of not quite knowing which of them, mother or daughter, he likes best?
Must be the daughter at his age.
Perhaps it's the mother. Perhaps she's but 25, a charming young widow.
She is a widow, then?
I haven't the least idea. But whichever it is, dear old Woollett will still want him to marry Mamie Pocock.
Mamie?
You know, Chad's sister-in-law. And perfectly lovely, too.
Well, first we must find out more about this attachment.
Oh, must I find out any more?
Didn't Mrs. Newsom send you to find out everything?
On a wonderful Sunday afternoon, he had me invited to a reception at the house of the great sculptor Gloriani in the Faubourg Saint-Germain. There I was to meet the woman. She was, I was finally informed, Madame de Vionnet, not a widow, but living apart from her husband. With her was the daughter Jeanne, a gentle, charming creature. The object, I now felt sure, of the virtuous attachment. In the garden, Chad brought Madame de Vionnet to me, and I was disconcerted at first by her air of youth. She was slim and dressed in black. Her eyes were far apart and a little strange.
Here you are, then, face to face at last.
Mr. Strater, I have heard a great deal about you.
Well, about you, Madame de Vionnet, I've heard, I'm bound to say, almost nothing.
Has not Miss Gostry said a good word for me?
I didn't even know of her knowing you, Madame de Vionnet.
Well, now she will tell you all.
As the afternoon wore on, I saw that Chad Newsom, formerly of Woollett, was on terms with illustrious spirits, was sought out by Gloriani himself, Gloriani of the great name and the fine, handsome face. The shadows lengthened and the last call of the birds sounded from the high trees in the gardens of the noble quarter. I sat alone, thinking. And then little Billum came, wanted to introduce me here and there. But it was too late for me. Too late in many ways.
Better late than never, sir.
It's not too late for you, Billum. You're young and be glad of it. All my impressions of Chad and of people I've seen at his place and of Paris have had their abundant message for me. I see now my own meagerness. A meagerness that sprawls back like some unmapped hinterland from a rough coast settlement. I'm old now. It's as if the train had fairly waited at the station for me without my having had the gumption to know it was there. Now I hear its faint, receding whistle miles and miles down the line. One has the illusion of freedom, but I was either at the right time too stupid or too intelligent to have it. Don't miss things out of stupidity. Do what you like so long as you don't make my mistake. Live.
Oh, sir, I don't know, but that I want to be at your age too different from you.
Prepare while you're about it for them to be more amusing. But if we talk about that, I know whom I should enjoy being like.
Gloriani?
No, not the famous artist, but the wretched youth I came out to rescue. The young man Willett considers to have succumbed to the sins of Europe. The happy fellow has found out how to live. Chad would be my model.
If I had known her name, Strether, I could have told you much. Marie de Vianney and I were at school at Geneva 23 years ago, so she can't be today an hour less than 38, 10 years older than Chad. The Comte de Vianney's a brute. Oh, yes, Marie's a countess, and there's a separation. You can see what she's done for Chad, but as a mother, she's French, and she has brought Chad up for her daughter.
But surely, what does the daughter say?
Here it's what the parents say, even the best of them.
I didn't come out to see this sort, I must say.
Are you disappointed she isn't worse?
It would be simpler.
Perhaps. But won't this be pleasanter?
But, my dear Strether, I'm not engaged to Jeanne. I should like you to go and visit Madame de Vianney. She won't do anything worse than make you like her.
It's just of that I'm afraid, Chad. You say your relations with Madame de Vianney are awfully good. Excuse me, but I must really know where I am. Is she bad?
Bad? Is that what's implied when relations are good?
Is our life without reproach, Chad?
Absolutely without reproach. A beautiful life. Allez donc voir.
The Comtesse de Vianney occupied the first floor of an old house in the Rue de Bellechasse, an apartment to which entrance was requested by the grave rumble of an old bell. An apartment wherein medallions, old books, pictures that one felt had been transmitted to her and not collected, bespoke as her background some glory of the Napoleonic Empire, all of which in the removed quiet composed a supreme respectability about the woman I'd come out to Europe to thwart. She received me with simple grace.
Of course, Mr. Strether. Chad has told me about you and his mother. All I ask of you is that you tell Mrs. Newsom the simple truth about us, little Jeanne and me.
But what good will that do me, Madame de Vianney? Or you, I should say.
Has Mrs. Newsom given you up?
Not yet. Do you want Chad to marry your daughter?
Oh, no, not that. Just tell his mother that I have been good for him. Don't you think I have?
You've been very wonderful.
Well, for that, don't you think that you ought to save our friendship? It means so much to us. So much.
Yes, I'll save that, if I can. Little Billum, tell me, you know everything. Why has Miss Gostry gone to Mentone so suddenly?
How should I know, Mr. Strether?
There are things that only you must know. How the situation began with Chad and Madame de Vianney, and when. You are his most intimate friend.
Oh, yes. I've watched it for some 3 years. He liked Madame de Vianney first, but now... And this is for you alone. Now she cares more than he.
And yet the fact remains she has saved him. I'm speaking of Chad as a social animal.
Yes. Chad has changed. He ought to marry...
You mean marry the daughter Jeanne?
After being in love with her mother?
In love with her mother, who is already married.
I told you. It's a virtuous attachment.
Yes. I've seen her now. I understand what a relation with such a woman may be. It can't be vulgar or coarse, but still I can't be concerned with her.
You came to save Chad by removal. They've accepted their situation, hard as it is. But Monsieur de Vianney may live forever, so they can't marry. A woman may stand that strain, but can a man?
Not without a very high ideal of conduct. That's what I attribute to Chad.
But wouldn't distance lessen the torment? Out of sight, out of mind?
When it's for each other that people give things up, They don't miss them. Let Chad and Marie de Vionnet face the future together.
You say that? You mean that, after all, he shouldn't go back to Woollet?
I mean that if he gives her up,
Yes.
well, he ought to be ashamed of himself. The situation was running away with me, and I dropped into a seat at Notre Dame to think. In one of the chapels rested a lady of supreme stillness. The composed gravity of her dress, in which a dull wine color gleamed faintly through black, her folded gray-gloved hands, her veil, all indicated Madame de Vionnet. When she turned, I saw that indeed it was she. We met outside the church, and for the first time, I proposed something outside my mission. I invited Madame de Vionnet to déjeuner. We went to a delightful house of entertainment on the left bank, and there we sat, on either side of a small table at a window, adjusted to the busy quay and the shining barge-burdened Seine.
A man in trouble, Mr. Strater, must be possessed somehow of a woman.
Yes, I suppose I'm in trouble, Madame de Vionnet. After my visit to you, I rode straight off to Mrs. Newsom.
Oh?
Now I'm expecting her answer. I've told her all about you, what she owes you.
No woman ever enjoys such an obligation to another woman. Wouldn't she come over?
Oh, no. I think I should go home first to give my account.
Oh, no. Stay with us. Stay with us. It's the only way to make sure that Chad does not break up.
I've put our case before him, and my work is rarely done. But I shan't sail before I get Mrs. Newsom's reply. Then let Chad go over too and show Mrs. Newsom what you've done for him.
It's when she sees for herself what he is that she'll most want to marry him off. There's this girl, is there not? Miss Mamie Pocock?
Yes. But the question will come up of the future that you yourself offer him. And that's for Chad to make of what he can. It's not my affair.
I beg your pardon. You are not saving me, I take it, for your interest in myself, but for your interest in our friend. You can't in honor not see me through, because you can't in honor not see him.
No, I suppose I can't.
You will, then.
I will, madame. I will see you through, on my honor. Chad, I've just had a cable from your mother. She sends me an ultimatum. If I can't bring you, I'm to leave you. I'm to come at any rate myself. And if I don't immediately sail, the Pococks will come out. Your sister Sarah, her husband Jim, and his sister Mamie.
So, Mother's turned to the Pococks. Well, I've been ready to go this last month.
I know, Chad, but...
Are you tired of Mother?
Never. Of course not. Never.
I understand. You feel the charm of life here.
Immensely. I'm having enough fun now to last me the rest of my days. Stay on with me, Chad.
And you were sent to take me home.
I've never been free in my life before, Chad. I've never had any life. Stay with me for a time anyhow. Let the Pococks come. Let them do their worst.
All right, let them then.
Marchons, marchons.
Crossons un peu.
Abreuve en océan.
From Hollywood, the NBC University Theater is bringing you Henry Daniel in a radio version of Henry James' The Ambassadors. This play is part of a series devoted to the classic novels of British and American literature. If you are interested in supplementing your enjoyment of these productions with home study under college supervision, be sure to listen to the announcement at the close of this program. And now, our intermission commentator, the outstanding British novelist E.M. Forster, author of A Passage to India and aspects of the novel. Now, from New York, here is E.M. Forster.
In the course of my life, my feelings about Henry James have gone up and down in a very uncritical way. Sometimes I've got pleasure from him, sometimes not. Sometimes I've enjoyed the earlier James and not the later, or vice versa. There is nothing admirable in this instability of mine, but it may explain my reaction towards the Ambassadors, the novel on which I'm commenting. The Ambassadors is late James, and I happen, during the last few months, to have concentrated on the earlier James, Washington Square, the Bostonians, and above all, the Princess Casamassima, that astounding excursion into social and economic misery, which suggests that James might have become a second Balzac had he wished. To turn from the Princess Casamassima to the Ambassadors is to turn from the noises and dangers of the street into a drawing room. But into what a drawing room? How exquisitely is the scene set. It is Paris, and in the elegancies and subtleties of that notorious city, a good young American has been entangled. He must be rescued. He must be brought back to marry the good, if rather mature, American girl of his mother's choice. Consequently, the action takes the form of rescues, embassies from the new world to the old, embassies conducted with varying skill and unexpected results. The chief ambassador, Strether, turns traitor. He deserts over to Paris, the enemy. He fails to rescue his young friend, and in the end, he realizes Paris more fully than his young friend can, by reason of his superior delicacy, superior subtlety, and depth. He passes from material pleasure and the enjoyment of beauty to ethical comprehension. And it is this ethical comprehension which raises our drawing room from a well-ordered apartment into a place for the spirit. Strether gains nothing personally. As he says, I have lost everything. It is my only logic. But he grows in understanding, and guided by James's art, the reader grows also, and becomes, within the ordained limits of the Ambassadors, a bigger man.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Our dramatization continues from Hollywood after a brief pause for station identification.
I persuaded Chad Newsom to remain in Paris. In short, I abandoned my mission. Then did Mrs. Newsom send out her daughter Sarah Pocock, her son-in-law Jim Pocock, and Jim's sister Mamie to rescue me. Chad and I went together manfully to the Gare Saint-Lazare to await the arrival of the American reinforcement.
Well, Strether, I shall do my best besides to give them all a good time. I'm sure your friend Waymarsh will help with Sarah.
Chad, I know very well it was Waymarsh who wrote home to say I had fallen victim to the evil charms of Europe.
Then he deserves whatever may befall him.
I feel like the outgoing ambassador doing honor to his appointed successor.
Sarah and Mamie and Jim Pocock.
I wonder how Jim will take to Paris.
Well, we'll soon know. Train seems to be coming in now.
It's really been very pleasant here, Jim, and I hope you'll find it so, too.
I feel with you, Strether. Oh, you've been grand, old man. I owe this trip to you, and I'm much obliged. But look out for Sarah. She means business. And Mrs. Newsom sitting up all night, my boy, for you.
Jim Pocock, leading Woolwich businessman, small and fat, devoted to light clothes and white hats, very big cigars and very little stories. And Sarah, Mrs. Newsom's loyal and determined representative, sent out to rescue me as well as our brother. Pretty Mamie Pocock, like the happy bride. The bride after the church and just before the going away. She had been sent to show Chad the charms of Woolwich as against the evils of Paris. Charms of Woolwich came off poorly when Madame de Vianney called on Sarah Pocock.
I have taken the liberty of calling on the very morrow of your arrival, Mrs. Pocock. Isn't there anything at all I can do for you?
Oh, you're too good, Countess. But you know I've been to Paris. I know Paris. Oh. And then I have my brother and these American friends, Mr. Strether and Mr. Waymarsh.
The great thing, as Mr. Strether will tell you, is just to let oneself go.
I've not let myself go very far, Madame de Vianney. I've done what I came out for.
You've renewed acquaintance with your friend, Mr. Strether.
Oh, yes, Countess. He has renewed acquaintance with me.
Oh, Mr. Waymarsh, I was thinking of Mr. Newsom. And now, happily, Mrs. Pocock, too, has given herself the opportunity to take up threads.
Well, I've never wanted for opportunities to see Chad, Countess. I think it probable I shall see him here in Paris.
Then the common ground of the Boulevard Malherbe gives me the best prospect I see for the pleasure of seeing you again, Mrs. Pocock.
Oh, I shall come to see you, Countess, since you've been so good.
There was a red flush in Sarah's cheeks as she fenced with the woman she believed had enslaved her brother. Poor Madame de Vianney, striving to be friendly, invited me to call on Tuesday. She eagerly expressed the wish that Jeanne might meet Mamie Pocock, whereat Waymarsh burbled his patriotism.
Yes, Countess, the American girl is a thing that we can show you.
You know, Mr. Strether, we are marrying Jeanne.
What, madame? Marrying Jeanne? We?
My husband and I. It is really all one could wish. Monsieur de Montbron is quite a combination.
But, madame, does nothing depend on her wishes?
Oh, she's as pleased as Punch. Do I seem to you very awful?
Awful? Why so?
Our arrangements are so different from yours. And do you know to whom we owe it all? Who introduced this adorable young man to us? Chad himself.
In another week, Maria Gostre returned to Paris, and we agreed on an interpretation of Chad's part in the marriage of Madame de Vianney's daughter.
I told you, as a mother, Marie de Vianney is a Frenchwoman. The interest in it is Chad's part.
That, I've decided, is his answer to Mrs. Newsom's demonstration.
And Sarah?
Chad doesn't care for Sarah, and Sarah doesn't appreciate him. Madame de Vianney has infinitely more comprehension.
But I haven't seen Chad, Mr. Strether, since his sister's arrival.
He's busy with them, Madame de Vianney. I can't surprise the Pococks into the smallest sign that he's not the same old Chad.
And that torments you?
Yes. Sarah has an advantage over me. She hasn't mentioned her mother, and Mrs. Newsom herself has stopped writing to me. Sarah has answered my inquiries as if I were a polite, perfunctory, poor relation of distant degree. But forgive me. All that is my case, not yours.
But with Chad absent, where is my case? Of course, I begged him to be beautiful to them. But I miss him.
Do not worry, madame. Chad at present is busy with Jim. From what Chad tells me, I think Jim's vulgarity may settle Woolwich for good.
Gosh, Chad, this is the life. Hey, my boy, if your ma could see us now. Encore! Hurrah for Paris!
While Jim was sniffing up what he supposed to be Paris, Sarah was passing unforgettable days wondering if she hadn't fallen in love with Waymarsh in a supremely innocent and Woollett-like way. And young Mamie was spending most of her hours alone in the Pocock's Hotel. I surprised her there once, standing on the balcony and staring intently down at the Rue de Rivoli.
Oh, Mr. Strether, I thought you were Mr. Billum.
What, Mamie, have they all abandoned you?
Oh, I'm expecting Mr. Billum. And this very afternoon I've been with Sarah to Madame de Vionet's.
Oh. So Sarah finally returned her call.
Yes, she's wonderful. And I was dying to see Jean. Her fiancé, Monsieur de Montbrun, was there, too.
Was he nice?
Any man's nice when he's in love. And Jean is just too sweet. If only she didn't so much want to please.
To please her mother, do you mean?
Her mother first.
And then?
Well, then, Mr. Newsom.
And last only, Monsieur de Montbrun.
Last only.
So that everyone, after all, then, Mamie, will be suited.
I think I can speak for myself. I shall be.
Mamie was splendid. She was a deep little girl. And she alone of the Pococks had taken to the last fraction of an inch the measure of the change in Chad. Mamie would be fat, too fat at 30, but she'd always be the person who, at the present sharp hour, had been disinterestedly tender. And 3 evenings later, at a party in which Chad was presenting to Sister Sarah the whole circle of his society, I pleaded Mamie's cause with little Billum.
So, Strether, you want to marry me off to Mamie?
Mamie doesn't want Chad, and Chad doesn't want Mamie. It's a thread we can wind up and tuck in.
Mamie came out to save our friend.
Like me.
But it was very soon distinct to her that alas, Chad was... he is saved.
Does Sarah think so now?
No, on the contrary. Sarah's pleased with his capacity to give a party like this, but she wants him to show that capacity in Woollett. He had no right to waste it on the likes of us.
Well, little Billum, you should marry Mamie. And Chad, I suggest, when he can, Madame de Vionnet. One morning, 3 weeks after the Pococks' arrival in Paris, the whole thing was really at last upon me. Sarah had been shown everything, the development of Chad, the charm of Marie de Vionnet, the beauty of Paris itself, but she saw nothing, and believed not at all in Chad's virtuous attachment. It was Waymarsh who signaled Mrs. Pocock's departure.
We're all leaving for Switzerland tomorrow, Strether, and although I know nothing whatever about Mrs. Pocock's private communications with Mrs. Newsom, I believe her to be acting in conformity with things that have my highest respect. I greatly hope you'll not do anything you'll be sorry for.
I know what I'm about, Waymarsh.
Now, see here, Strether. In your own interest, as an old friend, I have but one thing to say. Quit this.
It was the demonstration, if not the words, of Mrs. Newsom. It had reached Waymarsh from Sarah, but it had reached Sarah from our mother. And there was no break in the chain by which it reached me. An hour later, in the salon de lecture of our little hotel, Sarah sat in aggressive repose, her parasol stick upright and at arm's length, to receive my submission.
Chad will return home in a moment if you give him the word. He assures me on his honor he'll do that. And so I should like you to be good enough to give him the word. And within 24 hours.
Well, Sarah, first I must see Chad.
Is it your idea, then, that I shall keep on meeting you only to be exposed to fresh humiliation?
Are your instructions from Mrs. Newsom that you shall absolutely and irretrievably break with me?
My instructions from Mrs. Newsom are, if you please, my affair. You know perfectly what your own were. What is your conduct but an outrage to women like us? I mean you're acting as if there can be a doubt of Chad's duty.
You mean his duty to Madame de Vionnet?
Duty to her? Do you consider her even an apology for a decent woman?
She has struck me from the first, Sarah, as wonderful. I've been thinking, too, that even for yourself, she represented something rather new.
Rather new? I hope so, with all my heart.
I mean that she might have affected you by her exquisite amiability, her high rarity, her distinction of every sort. A real revelation.
A revelation to me? I've to come to such a woman for a revelation? You talk to me about distinction. You, when the most distinguished woman we shall either of us have ever seen in this world sits there insulted in her loneliness by your incredible comparison.
If your mother does really sit there insulted, it's, of course, very, very dreadful. I've given sufficient proof, one would have thought, of my deep admiration.
And pray, what proof would one have thought you'd call sufficient? That of thinking this person here so far superior to her?
Ah, dear Sarah, I only know that this person here is incapable in her relation with Chad or anybody of anything coarse or wrong or vulgar. You must leave me this person here.
Heaven knows we don't want her.
You shut your eyes on all she's done for your brother.
Can you even speak of their life?
You don't, on your honor, appreciate Chad's fortunate development?
Fortunate? I call it hideous.
Oh, if you think that.
Then all's at an end. So much the better. I do think that. I do think that. Goodbye.
Sarah.
Do you still want Mrs. Newsom after such a way of treating you, Mr. Strather?
I've gone a long way to meet her, Miss Gostray. She, on her side, hasn't budged an inch.
Yes, I suppose you have been disappointing to her.
She had worked the whole thing out in advance and worked it out for me as well as for herself. I see it all now. It's magnificent.
There's nothing so magnificent for making others feel your power as to have no imagination.
Anyhow, the Pococks don't sail from Liverpool for 5 or 6 weeks, so it's still open to Chad to join them.
Or you. Don't tell me what now holds you here is the pleasant prospect of the empty town and our wonderful women all to yourself.
Oh, Chad will be here. And you.
Me? Would you positively like me to stay?
Yes, Maria, I would. I need you.
Then I shall stay. Thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, are you really in love with Marie de Vianney? Are you?
Does it matter? It has nothing to do, practically, with either of us.
I see. Then there we are.
Chad, I tell you something. Sitting out here on your balcony at midnight with the great flare of the boulevard rising up, I see the whole thing. It wasn't for you, Chad, the Pococks came out, but for me. It wasn't to see what you're doing, but what I'm doing.
Oh, all the same, Strather. Oh, pardon me for putting it so, but ought you not to think, well, at your age, what Mother might do for you and be for you?
Of course, there are those sharp facts. I know, Chad.
So, I'll go home if you'll say you now consider I should.
Don't you care about a certain person?
Oh, I try not to. That is, I have tried.
But our friends in Woolwich demand you on the basis, as it were, of repudiation and ingratitude. And what has been the matter with me is that I haven't seen my way to working with you for repudiation.
Exactly. Now do you see how she hates me?
She, Chad?
Yes, Mother. Oh, we called it Sarah. But it seems to the same thing. If they hate Maria de Vianney, that comes to the same thing. Mother hates me.
Ah.
My dear old man, what I don't for the life of me make out is what you gain by what you've done.
We had never before, Chad and I, been so alone together. And of the many things that passed between us, the striking truth about Chad was that everything came happily back with him to his knowing how to live. It was his lack of imagination alone which stopped him, in all his other and generous qualities, from understanding what I had gained from my mission. Time for me now was a bag of gold into which I constantly dipped for a handful. That same week, I went to the country for a long day of loitering. In the calm evening, I came to an inn, and while my dinner was preparing, I sat at the bottom of the garden by the bank of the placid river. Suddenly, a boat came round the bend, a boat with two persons in it. A young man in shirt sleeves and a woman, easy and fair at the stern with a pink parasol. It was a chance in a million that I recognized them. They recognized me, too. Yet I had the odd impression they would have rowed by and cut me. So I waved my hat and stick. Chad! Hi there! Chad! Madame! Hi!
Hello! Hello, Strater!
I'll meet you down on the shore. We met. We dined together, and while Chad sat silent, Madame de Vionnet expressed her surprise and amusement at the miracle of our encounter, speaking as it happened wholly in French.
Comme cela se trouve. Quelle invraisemblance, mon Dieu, mais c'était pas tant, c'est vraiment...
Isn't it just that? A wonderful accident as queer as fiction.
We left Paris only this morning, Chad and I, just for the day. And of course we are going back tonight.
You'll join us, Strether? The three of us will go back together.
We took a slow train back, the three of us. Then, for an hour or two past midnight at my hotel, I sat back on my bedroom sofa and stared at nothing. Madame de Vionet's manner had been a performance. There had been a lie in the charming affair. It was impossible to blink at the evident fact that if they had come only for the day, she would have had at least a shawl. Chad's overcoat and their luggage must have been at the place best known to themselves, where they had been spending the 24 hours. I came back to the feature of the show, which was the deep, deep truth of the intimacy revealed. In the end, it seemed that Sarah had been right. I was mixed up with the typical tale of Paris.
I had to see you again, Strater. How can I be indifferent as to how I appear to you? Before yesterday in the country, didn't you think...
I didn't think anything, madame. You've been making the most precious present I have ever seen made.
No, it's not. It's never a happiness to take. The only safe thing is to give. But we've thrust upon you appearances that you've had to see. And that's where we're detestable. And you've done everything for me. Everything.
I understand. You're afraid for your life.
No.
And you're wonderful.
No. I'm old. I am 10 years older than Chad. The only certainty is that I shall be the loser in the end.
That's not very cheerful for your benefactor.
What's cheerful for me is the thought that we might, you and I, have been friends. I've wanted you to.
Ah, but you've had me.
I know what little Billum told you, Strether, of that virtuous attachment. And I spoke to you originally only as I had to speak.
I understand, Chad.
I've been to England getting information. You know, the business at Woollet seems to offer tremendous scope.
Chad, you astound me. Let me tell you, my boy, it's not a question of advising you not to go home, but of absolutely preventing you. You'd not only be a brute to leave her, but a criminal of the deepest dye.
Oh, don't be afraid. I'm not a bit tired of her. Not a bit, I assure you.
I never saw Madame de Vionnet again. It was pressed upon me soon that their eminent lie, Chad's and hers, was after all such an inevitable tribute to good taste as I could have wished them to render. And when I went to Miss Gostry to say goodbye, she made the final revelation.
I knew it all from the first, but I believed if you knew it, you would have suffered a sharp revulsion in favor of Woollet. Traditions, disparity in age, those things are nothing when a woman is hit. It's very awful. Marie was hit. I didn't want to lie for her. That's why I fled to Mentone.
I believe it's possible, after all, that Chad may go home.
To patch it up with Mrs. Newsom for you?
No, that's over. Over for both of us.
What then do you go home to?
A great difference, no doubt.
You alone of all of us had your ideal, and the plain facts have not embittered you. I love your integrity, Strether. There's nothing in all the world I wouldn't do for you. Nothing.
I know. But all the same, Maria, I must go. To be right.
To be right?
That is my only logic. Out of the whole affair, not to have got anything for myself.
But with your wonderful impressions, you'll have got a great deal.
A great deal. But nothing like you, Maria. You offer me exquisite service, light and care for the rest of my days, understanding. It's you who would make me wrong.
Oh, dear. I can't resist your puritanical logic. And so flattering. Poor Strether.
I held her hand in farewell and then walked to the street. The far-spreading presence of Paris of summer came up to me. In the flutter of awnings as wide as avenues, in the unceasing soft, quick rumble of the little carriages, in its happiness, in its love of living. Woolwich next month would be very different.
You have been listening to The Ambassadors, an NBC University Theater production of the Henry James novel starring Henry Daniell. If you wish to expand your knowledge and appreciation of literature, we suggest that you might enjoy the college-supervised courses now being offered in connection with the NBC University Theater. The University of Tulsa in Oklahoma and Kansas State Teachers College have now completed their plans for offering such a course, thus joining the University of Louisville, whose established home study plan is already serving listeners in another area of the nation. For information, then, as to how you may enhance your knowledge through these courses, write to NBC University Theater in care of the University of Louisville, Louisville, Kentucky, the University of Tulsa, Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Kansas State Teachers College, Pittsburgh, Kansas. Be with us next week at this same time for a repeat performance of one of the most successful broadcasts of last season, a broadcast which was instrumental in winning for the NBC University Theater both the Peabody Award and the award given by the Institute for Education by Radio at Ohio State University. Next Sunday, then, we will bring you The Short, Happy Life of Francis Macomber by Ernest Hemingway, starring Preston Foster. Was adapted for radio by Leslie Reed. During the intermission, you heard E.M. Forster, whose commentary was recorded. Our star in the role of Louis Strether was the distinguished star of screen and stage, Henry Daniell. Our cast included Monty Margetts, Ted Von Eltz, Grace Stafford, Tom McKee, Alma Lawton, Charles Seal, Lynn Whitney, Miriam J., and your announcer, Hal Gibney. The original musical score was composed and conducted by Dr. Albert Harris. The director of the NBC University Theater is Andrew C. Love. This program came to you from Hollywood. Tonight, we know you'll enjoy the NBC Theater presentation of Trade Winds, starring Frederick March. It's the screen director's assignment on NBC Theater, heard tonight on most of these NBC stations. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.